Hello and welcome to another math video. This video is going to help you get prepared for the 2.2 quiz. Starting with number 1, we're going to solve that equation for t. One of the difficult things with this one is that we have a t in the denominator. So what we do is we would actually multiply both sides of the equation by t. So I'm just going to sneak that in here. What that does on the right side is the t's cancel out. On the left side, that gives us ct, and then that equals 5t plus the 9. So now we still have a bit of an issue because we have t's in two separate terms, so we want to get those on the same side of the equation. So since the 9 is the only term that does not have a t in it, we would want to have the 9 be the only term on the right. So we'll subtract the 5t from both sides. So we get ct minus 5t equals 9. Now it might seem like there's a lot left to do, but we're actually just about done. Next thing we want to do is factor that t out of the left side. So when we take that t out, that leaves us with c minus 5. So we pull the t out, we factor that out, we're left with c minus 5. Now that equals 9. So very last thing we do is we just divide both sides of this equation by c minus 5, and then we see that t is just 9 over c minus 5. Number 2 is going to be very similar to that, just maybe a little bit easier because we don't have any r's in the denominator that we'll have to do anything to. Let's see, so with this one, trying to decide if we want to put the r's on the left or the right. Again, does not make a big difference. We've got a minus 3k and a minus 6y. So I might just subtract the r from both sides. That gives me negative 3k plus ar minus r equals the negative 6y. So we want to add the 3k to both sides. And that gives us ar minus r equals 3k minus 6y. So now we have all the r's on the same side, and we have any term that does not have an r on it on the other side. So we can factor an r out of the left side. That leaves us with a minus 1. That equals the 3k minus 6y. From there, we just divide by the a minus 1. So r equals the 3k minus 6y over a minus 1. There we go. So for number 3, we'll solve this equation for b. Let's see, so I would deal with the 1/2 first, so multiply both sides of the equation by 2. The reason we do that is because 2 times 1/2 is 1, so we get 2a equals b times h, and then all we have to do is divide both sides of the equation by h, and so b equals 2a over h. And we do the same sort of process for number 4. Here we're solving for h, which of course is right here. So the 2 pi rh is the only term with h in it. So we would subtract the 2 pi r squared from both sides. Of course, that doesn't do anything with the s. So it's just s minus 2 pi r squared equals the 2 pi r h. So the h is being multiplied by 2 pi r, so the easiest thing to do is to divide both sides of the equation by 2 pi r. Make sure that that's clear, that this entire s minus 2 pi r squared is being divided by 2 pi r. And then that is what h equals, is just the s minus 2 pi r squared over 2 pi r. There are some simplifications you could do there, but it's not really necessary, so I would just recommend leaving it like that so that you don't make a mistake doing those simplifications. 5, again, basically the same idea. We're solving for h. Again, I would start by multiplying both sides of the equation by 3. That will take care of that 1/3 for us. So we get 3v equals b times h. Again, we're solving for h, so we would divide both sides by b, and that would give us h equals 3v over b, just like that. For number 6, we just have this problem to solve. It's finding the Celsius temperature that corresponds to 236 degrees Fahrenheit. It does say we can round to the nearest tenth if necessary, so that is fine. Here is the formula for converting from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So we've got C equals 5/9, and then in parentheses F minus 32. So in this case, we're plugging the 236 in for F. And so that would look like this. Now, of course, you could type that all into the calculator and just hit enter, but I'll show, again, a little bit of step-by-step there. So first thing would be to subtract the 32. So we would have 5/9, and then 236 minus 32 would just be 204. And so we would just multiply that by 5/9. And so to the nearest tenth, the Celsius temperature would be 113.3 degrees Celsius, of course, is what we're talking about there. And that's really it for that one. Number 7 is similar. We got Janet drove 292 kilometers. The trip took her 4 hours. What was her average rate? So fairly simple, distance equals rate times time formula. But we're trying to solve for the rate, so if you wanted to, you could solve that for the rate. Rate equals distance divided by time. The distance was 292 kilometers. The time was 4 hours. So the rate would equal 292 over 4. And so that equals 73. And here the units are important, so it's kilometers per hour for that one. Number 8, we've got a simple interest problem with a little bit of a twist. They want us to find the total amount that has to be repaid if $1,900 is borrowed at 12.4% simple interest for 3.5 years. Again, that formula looks like this. Simple interest equals the principal times the rate times the time. Now, that'll give just the interest, so then in order to get the total amount that would have to be repaid, you'd also have to add in the original debt of $1,900. So this would actually be the whole debt, whereas the I equals PRT is just the interest. Let's see, so we just plug in the information. Interest will equal P, which is the principal of $1,900 times the rate. Now 12.4% is 0.124, and then 3.5 years. And like I said, that will just be the interest, which is $824.60. So notice that wouldn't really make sense for the questions they're asking, the total amount that must be repaid, because that's less than the amount borrowed. So we add in what was borrowed in order to get the total amount that would have to be repaid, and we end up with $2,724.60. And again, I'll just add the 0 in there since it's money. And then number 9, the solution contains 7% salt. How much salt is in 4 milliliters of solution? So really all we have here is 4 milliliters total solution. So let's see. Oops. So if we look at it, we got a container. There's 4 milliliters of solution. That is 7% salt. So then the question, how much actual salt is in the 4 milliliters of solution? So all we really do is find out what 7% of 4 is. So 0.07 times 4, and we get 0.28 milliliters. of salt. I'm doing fine with just the 0.28 milliliters, but that's all we're looking at there. And the last one, number 10, we've got a mixture of chlorine and water. It's a total of 61 gallons of liquid. There are 48 gallons of pure chlorine in the mixture. The question, what percent of the mixture is water? So that's part 1. And what percent of the mixture is chlorine? And we can round our answer to the nearest percent. Okay, so 61 gallons total. So total of 61 gallons. Of the 61 gallons, 48 gallons of it are chlorine. And so we can figure out, of course they asked for the water first. We could figure out just the difference, so that would be 13 gallons of water. And so to figure out that percentage would just be 13 over 61. So to the nearest percent, well, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 21.3%. Not that that really matters. And then for chlorine, 48 out of 61. 78.7%. And they said to round to the nearest percent. I just wanted to point out that it does make sense then when we're rounding that we have to the nearest percent 21% water. And then that ends up being 79% chlorine. All right. Well, as always, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully you found this to be helpful.